All right, we're live. Welcome to In the Know. We have a very special guest. His name is Allan Cubas. You may have heard his music. Recently did a music video with Lil Wayne. He has a song with him as well. He was here to perform at Louisiana Fest. Allan, man, what's up with you? Thanks for joining the show. Uh,
Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Dude, what's it been like these last few weeks? I know you were supposed to be here for Louisiana Fest and
Yeah.
that stuff got canceled, but man, what you been up to, man?
Nah, just been working, man. Continuously working, trying to get better. Excited to be a part of Young Money. I just got signed. Probably it's been less than a year, a couple months. Just been working. Continuously in the studio. Definitely was looking forward to Louisiana Fest, but everything happens for a reason. Got rescheduled for October 29th, so we're gonna be lit for Halloween weekend. And you know what I'm saying? Just blessed, grateful for everything, and working hard.
Absolutely. Halloween weekend's gonna go crazy.
I
So
appreciate it.
you're local. You're from New Orleans, yeah?
Yeah, born and raised in New Orleans. Louisiana my whole life. Besides like 4 or 5 years, I lived in Honduras in Central America.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
respect. Where'd you go to school here?
all kind of places. I went to elementary at Fitz Howard Elementary, middle school in Cammon and St. Rose. High school went to Destrehan for a little bit, and after that, I went to Delgado. I mean, I've been all around Louisiana.
All
For
right. So what's it like, being a local dude and getting signed to Young Money and then having the opportunity to work with Wayne?
bro, it's a dream come true. Like especially being like from my era, everybody knows what Lil Wayne means to the not just to the city, but just to the music in general. Like he was so inspirational. He influenced the culture in ways I don't think any rapper has. When you just think of from dressing and everything, being from New Orleans, growing up in the era with Carter One, Carter Two, it was just such pride that we felt that he was from Louisiana, that he brought to us. You know what I'm saying? So like he's my childhood idol. When I had this dream of rapping, just listening to Lil Wayne, like this dude's ridiculous. To be signing him is it's a dream come true. And I was grinding for years, probably 9 or 10 years, and I think that the Lord blessing me with the opportunity to get signed to my favorite artist, to Young Money. We know what Young Money's done in the game, and now I'm just focused on trying to take the next step. I'm grateful to be in the position I am, but in the least bit conformed or just content. I want to keep working and be one of the greats one day, and add to the legacy of Young Money and all the things that Lil Wayne's done.
For sure. And I want to talk about your music, but since you mentioned the Carters, I have to ask you if you had to put the for each Carter album in order. I'm putting you on the spot. What's your ranking?
Man, oh man, look. I personally, a lot of people gonna say Carter Two, which I agree. You can't go wrong with these, but I think the Carter One is my favorite. Carter Two being my second favorite, but those two are equally like they right there. Carter Three probably was the one that gave him the most success. Commercially. He won his Grammy. I'll probably have Carter Three behind there. Man, the Carter Four and Carter Five are hard too, man. But I think I might put the Carter Five before the four, and then put four as the fifth one.
I think there's another guy we have on the show. His name is Lito. I think that may have been his exact ranking. He definitely had Carter one at the top, and
Carter Two is great, and like you can't. But I remember hearing Carter One, and that was just the start of the whole Carter series. And what that meant, you started as a Wayne fan. You started hearing the transition when he was making the mixtapes with Squad, where his wordplay was just getting crazier. You could just hear the development. Then when the Carter came, I was like, man, am I tripping? This dude really is. He's arrived. Like he's one of the best rappers in the whole industry. Then he came Carter Two, and this best rapper alive, and started stating that thing. But in the Carter One is when I noticed it. I remember being a kid listening, like this is something different. This is on another level. The wordplay, the punchlines, the metaphors, the different flow patterns, the way he was so innovative, melodic at the same time, spitting bars. It was crazy, man. Lil Wayne, let's just call it what it is. I'm not just being biased because I'm signing him. I say it all the time. Like, who has really influenced it more from a standpoint of longevity? Like I said, dressing, a lot of things. Then bringing Drake and Nicki Minaj along too. Who've inspired the culture as well. Those are products of Lil Wayne.
absolutely. I mean, it's been unbelievable to sort of watch him throughout his career and
Yeah.
see how he's ended up to where he's at. But the way you talk, it seems like you study the game a lot too. So do you think that's fair? Like, do you feel like when you say you've been grinding, you working on your own music, how much are you listening to other artists, their past works, and even current stuff in terms of like what you're trying to incorporate and
A
how you're
lot,
trying to
all
do
the
your
time,
stuff?
man. I'm a student of the game. Like I'm always trying to learn, be inspired. I know that some people take the approach of they're really locked into their own things, and I do that. When I get in my zones, I'm locked into my craft. But I'm a huge fan of other people's craft as well. And if somebody's doing something great, I want to learn from what they're doing and maybe implementing that to what I'm doing and put my style on it as well. And that's just innovation and just trying to learn. So I'm always listening to other people, trying to get better. I remember when I was just young, like always listening to different rappers and stuff like that. And Wayne would be the rapper I would listen to and just be like, how's he doing this? Like, and I still am to that point now. Like when I'm in the studio with him, every time I'm working, I'm just amazed because one thing that you learn quick when you're around him is it's not coincidence. He is what he preaches, and this man has every accolade, all the money, everything you can imagine, but he's still outworking every single human being. I don't know if there's a person in their respective field that works as hard as he does, and I put that into whatever field you want to name. This man works continuously, constantly. He's eat, breathes, and sleeps this music stuff, and that's why he was so successful. He's been doing it since he was a kid. He's still doing it now. New album gonna come out. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Success is not an accident. That's for sure. So
Right.
outside of Wayne, who are you listening to a lot these days? A couple artists or whatnot?
For the last couple of years, I've been big on Burna Boy, African
Okay.
artist that's been blowing up. I'm a huge fan of Burna Boy. I listen to a lot of R&B. I like a lot of the female R&B that been coming out with SZA. I like that whole wave with Summer Walker. I feel like they're real vulnerable with their feelings, the way their compositions are. I'm really inspired by that. Drake, of course, always listen to Drake. That could be a cliche answer, but come on, man, Drake's one of the goats.
Of course.
So definitely that. But Burna Boy, in Spanish, I like a lot of Latin artists as well. I listen to Bad Bunny, Arcángel, Cultura Profética, which is like a reggae Spanish group. I'm just always listening to like a lot of different types of things. Like if rappers are dropping something new, I'll give it a listen. I'm definitely always listening to music.
Obviously, in a lot of your songs that you're speaking both Spanish and English, do you take a lot of influence from some of the Latin rappers? And are there
No,
like other
no doubt
international?
about it. Yeah, no doubt
Yeah,
about it. I take a huge I've been more influenced by the American side, but in the beginning, especially in my early stages of doing music, definitely by a lot of Latin artists. You know what I'm saying? And I try to incorporate both of my cultures into my music. Being a second generation Hispanic, raised in New Orleans, but at the same time I lived on that side. I feel it's important to 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 put that in my music, and I feel that can help me bridge the gap in ways no one really has. I feel just due to my upbringing and being growing up in this diverse background, I just try to put that in my music. I
for
feel it's
sure. And what made you want to get into music in the first place? Like, when did you know, like, hey, this is what I want to do?
I always had a love for it since I was early age. And when I was in high school, I used to battle rap actually. I used to love putting words together. I felt it was fire that you could like express yourself through words and through art. I was big into battle rap and spoken word and things like that, but not in the way where I looked at it as like being a career. Like my first dream and passion was actually like basketball. I played basketball all through middle school, like all star. Right? But then as much as I loved it, I came to a realization like just going to different camps. I was like, damn, like I might not get to this NBA or not like that. I noticed certain dudes are better than me. I didn't really have a height. I'm not sure. I'm like 6 feet, 6'1", but in basketball terms, that's super small. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of big guards. But I started taking music serious around 18, 19, and then around 2021, I started really recording songs and trying to see where it could take me. I just always thought it was awesome that if I was feeling down, if I was feeling happy, I could put these and could write it down your feelings and make a song about it. I just thought that was cool. You know, whether I made money or not, that's always been something that I could lean on. In moments when I'm going through the most things, music's always been something that I could express myself. It brings me happiness. So like I always tell people, whether I made $1 million or $0, music will be something that I always do. It's a passion of mine. It's something that I enjoy doing. I do it for the love. Like society obligates you, you got to make money. So if I can make money off doing what I love, that'd be great. And that's where we at right now. Just trying to work
That
and get better.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, not everyone gets to do what they're passionate about.
Right.
Oftentimes, we got to work other jobs to make the
But,
passions
but
happen.
you can do it though. That's what I tell everybody. Like it ain't you got along the journey. There's going to be things that you have to do that maybe not be what you want to do, but it can get you to the point of doing what you want to do. It's like I had all kind of other jobs while I was supporting my music career. You just got to have that mental fortitude that and be like, I'm gonna keep pushing through this. You know what I'm saying? And grind it. Like it ain't gonna be easy, but
For
if
sure.
you have that goal in mind, it makes it worthwhile. It's like I'm doing this to get to that. So it keeps you pushing forward. When I was doing all kind of other stuff, that's what I had in the back of my mind. Like I'm doing this to get this check. This check, I'm gonna invest in this, and this is gonna take me there. It may have not always worked the way I wanted to, but in hindsight, it always does, though, because you just gotta live and learn through these experiences. It all makes sense in the end.
I hope people taking notes listening to this stuff, man. Bringing the conversation back to basketball. Obviously, this is a Pelicans oriented podcast. Growing up in New Orleans, how much New Orleans basketball did you end up watching? And yeah, just take me through your experience. You know, like, are you a New Orleans fan? Are
I
you
gotta
other
keep this
teams?
real,
What?
man. Yeah, I gotta keep this real. And man,
Yeah,
I'm New Orleans to the bone, born and raised in Louisiana. I can't name too many bigger fans than me when it comes to the Saints, but I have to be honest. I am a Pelican fan, but they're not my first team, and I can explain why. I'm a diehard basketball fan. Like it's my first passion. I love basketball as much as I love music. I fell in love with Kobe Bryant watching him play when he was still on the bench, when he was the sixth man of the year. I'm talking the 97, 98 season. He went sixth man of the year. That was my first time as a little kid watching Kobe. There's a game against the Seattle Supersonics, I remember. I idolized Kobe before he was even Kobe Bryant. I was watching him. I went on that whole journey with him. So growing up, New Orleans didn't have a professional basketball team. So when people look at this, I wasn't attached. I was already a basketball fan and a diehard Kobe Bryant Laker fan by the time the Hornets got here. So when the Hornets got here, what really started gravitating me towards the Hornets at one time, but I was still a Laker fan, was they had these tough, hard playoff series against the New Orleans Hornets, and there was this diminutive point guard, Chris Paul, who I started hating this dude. I was like, we can't stop this dude. I would go to the games every time they would play New Orleans, and Chris Paul would just have crazy numbers on them, crazy games. I remember he was doing some crazy things, so that made me just a huge fan of Chris Paul. And when Kobe retired, I became the biggest. I mean, I follow Chris Paul wherever he goes. So it sucks to say, I'm a Chris Paul fan, and that was just the biggest rival. I actually was at the games and in the middle of all these fans. And I love New Orleans. And I go for the Pelicans, but I'm primarily going for wherever Chris Paul's at. Other than Kobe Bryant, he's my favorite player of all time. He just had a terrible exit out the playoffs. It was embarrassing. It hurt me deep. But I'm a real one. So I was riding with him, and I'm gonna ride to the end of the journey. I think he's going on his 18th year or something like that now. So definitely a fan of the Pelicans. I think they have a bright future. They got a great team, great young core. Like they got a lot of versatile lineups they can throw out there. So, but I'm not gonna sit there and say, I'm a Chris Paul fan. So yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I appreciate you keeping it real. Not
yeah,
not too many people come up here in the Pelicans podcast and be like, "Yo, actually, I like the Lakers before everything," because there's a lot of history with LA and New Orleans, especially like Anthony Davis getting traded over there. Chris Paul almost got traded over there. I actually
yeah.
want to talk to you about that. When
Yeah,
those like brief hours where Chris Paul was a Laker and he was playing with Kobe.
yeah, they nixed the trade. And the reason was at the time is because remember the Pelicans didn't have an owner at
Right,
that time, so it was kind of the NBA had to make the decision, and they deemed that
right.
it wasn't a fair trade, which was crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? That was just, and I think that Chris Paul's career could even been different. Kobe Bryant's career would have been different. People forget that year that they ended up getting Steve Nash and all these guys, and it didn't work out how they thought. I remember Kobe Bryant. They were
Dwight
like
Howard.
they were probably like 8, 9 games out of the last playoff picture, and Kobe Bryant goes on this tear, overworks his body, dominates. He's scoring 40, 50, and he ends up injuring himself, I believe. He basically pushed himself to exhaustion. They get in that last spot, but he can't even play in the playoff game because he tears his Achilles. Had Chris Paul been there, I think that whole thing could have potentially worked different, but, if was, you know how that goes. So
Right, right. If
yeah,
for
he
the
had a
fifth.
great career. He went to the Clippers, transformed that organization. The Clippers were a laughing stock. Let's call it what it is. I mean, everywhere Chris Paul's went, he's helped those teams reach some of their highest win totals, from New Orleans to going to the Clippers, which was a laughing stock, to making them a playoff contender every year, 50-win team every year he was there. The resume speaks for itself.
Were you at some of these playoff games with the Suns when Chris
Yeah,
Paul was in town?
I
Yeah.
was. Yep. Yeah, I was there. He did his thing.
When those games that happen, are you like like talking shit with the fans that are
No,
around
not at
you?
all, man. Not at all. I'm more quiet. I respect being from New Orleans. It kind of hurts me sometimes, but I just can't fake it in the sense of I am a fan of them. I was going for New Orleans every time when Anthony Davis was here. I think people actually are hard on AD. Like, he played well, and people always talk about this lack of playoff success. When you really think about it, the only teams that beat AD and the Pelicans in the playoffs were the same team that beat everybody else. And I think they overrate that. Like the Warriors beat them. Nobody else. When he got matched up against another team, what was it, the third seed Blazers? He swept them,
Yep.
and dominated the Warriors. The same team that beat everybody else in the same fashion they beat the Pelicans, they whooped the Cavs as well, 4-1, if not 4-0. And other than that, you can't name me the other team that beat Anthony Davis in a New Orleans Pelican jersey. People tend to forget that though, but he was putting up astronomical numbers. I think like he had 20 and 10 in almost his first 8 or 10 playoff games. It was crazy. So
Yeah, it was unfortunate how that all ended up
It was definitely
ending.
unfortunate, definitely.
Yeah. But they got new players now. They got Zion, they got Brandon Ingram, they got CJ
Crazy.
McCollum. Do you have a current favorite player on the Pelicans?
Yeah, I mean, if Zion I mean, everybody likes Zion. He's entertaining. I like Bi. He was on the Lakers for I think the Pelicans have a great team. They really got a young core. I like the different lineups they can throw out there. They got real good depth. I'm interested to see how they run the offense, whether it's going to be because if they lack anything, I would say maybe it's a true point guard. I think CJ McCollum's going to take a lot of that responsibility. He definitely was more of a scoring guy at first, but I think he's at the place in his career where he can take on that role. Maybe they run a lot of point forward through Zion, through Ingram. I think there's a lot of interesting pieces. It's just going to be able to find it to be cohesive, with all the talent they got.
No, for sure. I mean, and I think you're right. They don't have a true point guard. There's going to be a sharing of that
They don't. Yeah,
responsibility.
and that was the one I thought the thing I thought they lacked. It's going to have to be a sharing of responsibility. Ingram may play a lot of point forward type of things, which I think they're capable of doing. Or I think if Zion's who he was last time he was healthy and we seen him, this is a guy you can run the offense to, and you get the right lineup out there. Or if Herb Jones can be a consistent 3-point shooter, you throw Trey Murphy out there. I mean, it could really be problems for a lot of the NBA. And I'm definitely a Pelicans fan. I'm going for them mostly against every team they play. Unless it's Chris
For sure.
Paul.
No, I mean that's that. Yeah, no, I agree with you. What I wanted to pick your brain on a little bit. So you've been following New Orleans basketball, ever since it's been here. What's
Yeah,
it like now? You feel like the conversation around this team in the city. It seems like there's a lot of positive energy around it. It seems like a lot of people are coming out to the games. The playoff environment was pretty
yeah.
spectacular. Do you
I
feel
was
like the
nervous.
tide is changing?
I 100% do. I was actually nervous and I was weary, man, because I remember in New Orleans for some reason, despite even the success they had with Anthony Davis, I never felt that same energy I felt when Chris Paul was here. And I was like, man, this is tough because they're not making that connection like the Saints always had with the city. And then I was like, when AD was there, when they got rid of AD, I was like, damn, this could be tough. But then Zion comes. But then you're hearing the rumblings of Zion wanting out. So I'm like, man, what's gonna go on? But then David Griffin, Willie Green, these guys done such a great job of getting that team together. And I think the success of the core, it got Zion back invested, and you just feel the energy. It's incredible right now. It's electric. You got to look at Jose Alvarado, all the spirit that these guys brought. I think it embodied the culture of New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? People really love that. They feel that energy, and I think this team right now has a chance to do something real special and vibe and connect with the city in a way maybe no New Orleans team did. These guys really work hard. They play hard. The way they play, you got a guy like Herb Jones who's locking up. Saying 94 feet. So I think this team really has a lot of. They can do a lot of special things, and I do see that energy. I do see. I think it's going to be sellouts every night. I think that's what they've been needing. A star that can connect with the city, and Zion could definitely do that. If Zion comes back and stays healthy, he's gonna be a handful for the NBA. You add in Ingram, I mean, it's gonna be crazy. They got all the talent in the world, but the Western Conference is just deep, is loaded. So
Yeah, every team, every team's going at it except for maybe Houston and OKC. Every
other
team's
than
trying to.
that, every team really,
Yeah,
yeah, all those teams. Like you could look at a team like Sacramento, who maybe on the outside looking in, they have a lot of talent. Like every team has talent, and you can see the Pelicans going to be anywhere from a third seed. It wouldn't surprise me, or they could be in the playing game. You don't know how that's all gonna. I think injuries gonna play a big part in it. A lot of different things. How they gel. There's so much talent in the West right now, but the Pelicans definitely. I believe they're primed for a big, 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 big year.
well, so one of the things the Pelicans did last year to help connect with the city more is they started bringing a lot more local artists to perform at the games and at halftime and whatnot. If they reached out to you, would you take them up with an
100%.
opportunity?
Yeah, of course. Off top.
Okay, okay,
I'd be, I'd be
I gotta
honored.
call my people at the Pelicans then, make
Man,
something happen.
I'd be honored to do it, bro. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, I'm gonna ask you a
I'm looking
couple predictions for the season, and then we'll finish it off with a couple more just
all
easy
right.
questions. So,
Cool, cool, cool.
sticking on the Pelicans, you gave them a range of where they could finish, but what's your official prediction? Where are you putting them at?
I see him being around a 6th or 7th seed.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It wouldn't
And
surprise me if they were the 3rd seed or something higher. They definitely, no doubt about it, have the talent. I think it'll take a little time to gel. And I'm looking at Golden State. I think the Clippers, if Kawhi and Paul George are healthy, they're going to be a tough team. And I think Phoenix is going to be there. But then after that, like Memphis, But the Pelicans are up there with anybody. I don't think it's going to be too many games that separate a team from like sixth or third or something like that. I think it's going to be stacked. I think it'll be tough to come across 50 wins this year. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be a war. Like every game is tough. Like really, you're not getting no nights off in the West. Denver coming back with Michael Porter Jr. and Murray's coming back. Like the Kings really the Kings got Keegan Murray. I don't think a lot of people are looking how good that dude was in the
He's
summer.
good.
He's
He's
really,
really
really
good.
good. It's like a lot of teams have gotten better. They was getting criticized for that trade when they got rid of Halliburton, which I think Halliburton was big, but Sabonis has been fitting in actually nice with De'Aaron Fox, that pick and roll thing. So I just really think there's a lot of good teams. But
Yeah. I mean,
I definitely think Pelicans in the playoffs. They'll be a tough out for anybody. They have the talent to beat anybody if it gels together. I mean, and if Zion's who we believe he is, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. Like, who knows what they could do? They could probably win the chip if it all falls together. They got a real good team.
like
Brandon
that's
Ingram showed a lot. He took a huge step last year and showing that I can get a bucket on anybody. Like, there were
right.
times where Mikal Bridges was off defense first team. These dudes couldn't do nothing with him. There was nothing
No.
to do with
I
him.
mean, you was
So,
hanging 28 a night on him,
and
you know?
it was consistent, and against all first team all D guys. So, like, yeah, the sky's the limit. Is this going to be? Can they make it all gel defensively? What lineups they're going to throw out there? But they really have everything, man. They really have everything. That they have anything, I said it's the true floor general. I think McCollum is going to take a lot of that responsibility and do well with it.
We'll see. We'll see. Who do you have winning the title this year?
Oh man, damn. Man, I would love to say Phoenix because I'm a Chris Paul fan, but I don't think that's. It's
You
gonna
feel
be.
like if they got KD, it would have been a wrap?
I do think it would. I don't know, man, because who would they have written? Who would they've all got rid of? I think it would have gave them a great chance. I think. Look, man, they had the perfect team to do it this last year. What they did, they
Right.
bowed out. I don't want to make excuses. I do feel, I definitely heard some rumor. I do think Chris Paul was injured. You know what I'm saying?
But he always is at that time of year. He gives you so much, and
And
then
that's
his
why I
body
don't.
breaks
Yeah,
down.
that's why even if he was, it was still basketball related. I think that the way Alvarado and these guys wore him down, he hung up big numbers, but
Yep.
it's pressing him. And that's kind of been a playoff thing now. People just realize, what, he's going to kill us, but if we can pick him up 94 feet every game, every quarter throughout time, maybe he breaks down. And he's normally 37 years old. He'll be making 38 next year. But I think, I don't want to say Golden State again, but I mean, it's not like they gotten worse. They're going to be good. Well, no, they lost Gary Payton Jr., so they lost some perimeter defense.
They got
Man,
Dante DiVincenzo though.
yeah, man,
Pick him up.
it's tough, man. I love the fact the NBA is wide open though. Like
Yeah.
there's not a clear cut contender, a clear cut favorite. I think the Nets are going to be back. I think they're going to be back, and I think if anything, them bringing their core back with all the turmoil that's happened and went down, I believe they're not going to have such high expectations, and I believe that they like that. I think that they'll play better with
Mhm.
with people not expecting much or people not knowing how Ben Simmons is going to come back. If these guys gel together, the Nets I can see being a big team. Boston's going to be back. But
How you
with
feel about the Bucks?
I think the Bucks are a huge contender. I think the Bucks could have won it last year. People are
Yeah.
sleeping on the absence of Chris Middleton. I mean, they lost a guy who was their closer, a dude that put up 25, 30 in big games, and they still went against take the Celtics to 7, the team that represented the East in the championship. So it's like
Right.
the Bucks will be back. It's wide open. The Pelicans are going to be fighting there. Memphis is going to be fighting. Every team really has a good argument. I'm going to go with Phoenix. If DeAndre Ayton can come back and take his game to another level, which I believe he could do, I think he's going to come back. He got his money. Mikal Bridges is only going to grow. Cam Johnson should fit into a bigger role. Devin Booker should take this to take this and want to come back stronger and redeem himself, take his game to another level. So yeah, man, I don't really have a clear.
Okay. We'll roll with it, Phoenix. We'll put you on the table as Phoenix. You think everything is sorted out with DeAndre and Monty and all that? Now that he's got his money, you think it's gonna be all water under the bridge?
Yeah, I would hope so. I think that Monty Williams, even though I think Monty Williams, everybody knows league round. Most people say he's a great guy, a man of great conviction. And I think that, I think they just got to have a talk. That's a conversation they could have. Monty's the kind of guy that really truly cares about the individual, the player as a person. So if he was getting hard on him, it was maybe things to make him better. I think once he realizes that, I do think that they have to give him a bigger role, and I think they will now. With Chris Paul getting older, I think DeAndre Ayton needs to be featured more. I think he needs to demand the ball more. In that Dallas series, there was no reason Maxi Kleber was holding you to 14. You should be averaging 20 and having 15. You know, you're fully capable of that. He played better against the Pelicans than he did against the
Right.
Mavericks. So I think they could take the step, but it's hard. Maybe it's a little bit of bias in me speaking about them winning the title. I'm not gonna sit there and cap like it's gonna be tough, man. like
No, that's
New
that's
Orleans has probably more talent. I just Chris Paul is the kind of player that in a regular season he'll have them in order. He'll have them organized to where they have a good seed. I believe. You know they're gonna win a
right.
certain amount of games just off of the system. Everybody knows what will be. Playoff time comes, the game slows down, and a lot of it's tough. But I think that's where DeAndre has to go. Cam Johnson, I think he has to take a big step. They got these guys, and I don't think they're done. I think they're going to make a splash in free agent. Remember, DeAndre Ayton getting signed, it also can make him a bigger trade asset going forward if something,
Right.
things
Right. They
don't go
could
right.
they could turn
The
around
KD
January
saga
or
may not be
February.
over yet. Exactly. We don't know. It has to wait to January. So
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. All right, man. I'm gonna ask you this last question and we'll get you out of here. Your Mount Rushmore, your top five NBA players. We already know who you got at one. All right, I think I do, but whatever. Top
no, no,
five,
no. Yeah,
past, present, all
Look, Kobe
time.
Bryant's my favorite player of all time, but
Okay.
they'll recognize real. Just because someone's my favorite, Michael Jordan to me is the best player of all time.
Okay.
I don't think there's really nothing that no argument. You know what I'm saying? Went to 6 championships, won 6 titles, not even got to a game 7. I think when people make these lists, a lot of times they tend to forget about the defensive accolades. Michael Jordan as a guard was the defensive player of the, you know what I'm saying? He first team all defense multiple times, you know. So I got Michael Jordan. I think LeBron James should be LeBron James or Kareem in 2 or 3. Then my 4 and 5, I would put, and I have Kobe, then Magic, but I wouldn't be mad at someone having Magic, then Kobe. Magic Johnson himself said he felt Kobe was the best Laker of all time, but he could have been being humble. I respect what Magic did, being a pioneer of the game and the things that him and Bird did. But I look at Kobe Bryant, I take Kobe over Bird. I think he was a more skilled offensive player one-on-one. Um, I think he was as good a passer, just maybe not as willing as Bird was, but Kobe Bryant could pass the ball when he wanted. And defensively, I don't think there's no comparison. Kobe Bryant was an elite defender on ball, you know, in his prime. He has all the defensive accolades as far as being first team All NBA a multitude of times. So those are my 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, with everything he accomplished, you can make the argument he's number 2 or number 1. You know, he got 6 titles, did everything you can imagine at UCLA, won a title with 5 with the Lakers, 1 with the Bucks. So Kareem, all-time leading scorer. LeBron's getting ready to eclipse him. LeBron, of course, I like Kobe more than LeBron, but his resume speaks for himself. The guy's all around great. He can pass the ball, rebound the ball. Kobe and Magic Johnson. Those are my 5.
That's a really solid 5, man. That's a really solid 5. I think I'd have Wilt in there, and probably
Will was far
Russell.
from me, man.
But that's it's tough. It's tough to rank like the people who played in a different era.
You don't want to
And
disrespect them because they're the pioneers that make this beautiful game possible and
right,
for us to even watch it. But I look at my thing with Wilt, I guess, is that as much as he dominated,
you should have
he
won more.
continuously Bill Russell kind of dominated him when it counted the most, you know.
Right,
And it's
right,
not like Will didn't have stacked teams. And then you don't want to discredit anybody because they made the game. But a lot of times I look at stuff before the merger, you know. I try to judge it more based off when the ABA and the NBA merge, you know, because a lot of the best players might have been in the NBA and the ABA, you know.
right,
A lot of the brothers wasn't playing in the NBA at
right.
times like that. So these dudes was going against. There was only 9 teams in the NBA at one time. You know, a lot
They
of
going
times.
against plumbers and mailmen, man.
I don't want to. Yeah, you saw. I don't want to say that because these were the elite athletes at the time, but like you might have been going against a center that was maybe 6'6", 6'7", and of course you're going to dominate. I think Will Chamberlain would have been great in any era. Make that clear. The
Sure.
dude was an athlete. You saw the way he was good in track and everything. The dude would have dominated. But he's definitely in the top in the discussion. Like you can't be mad at nobody putting him in there. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
It's tough.
So I guess one more question. I just thought of this. There was a lot of discussion recently around like what constitutes a superstar these days. What's your definition of a superstar, and how many NBA players do you think meet that criteria
Oh yeah,
today?
yeah. But maybe 10. I'd have to count them, but I think a lot of people get prematurely thrown that term sometimes as being a superstar. You know, I think they're being
Sure.
a little more cautious now, but being a superstar, I think first and foremost you have to be a leader. You got to be box office, and more than anything, you have to be willing to single handedly, or you a guy that can bring your team to the playoffs. When you look at when Shaq left, and it was just Kobe Bryant by himself, And it bothers me how people try to tend to look at that as like, oh, he had these tough years. Not really, man. He had a start lineup of Chris Mim, Kwame Brown, Jordan Farmar at times, Smush Parker, and he was
Smush
taking
Parker.
he was. No, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
he was taking Phoenix to 7 with Steve
Yeah.
Nash and Morris. Like that's what he was doing. He was having these tough series. So a lot of the years when Dwayne Wade was injured and hobbled, he would get the heat to these. Can you put the team on your back? It's a lot harder than people think. A lot of these guys, when they don't have help, they end up getting injured. They sit the season out, and their team wins 20 games. We saw it with Steph Curry the year when they lost in the playing game. When he,
Right.
he had that great season when he was averaging all these points. They didn't make the playoffs. And so superstar. Let me think who I think is a superstar. You got
So is Dame Lillard a superstar?
that's exactly what I think. Dame Lillard is a superstar. I think he is a superstar. He single-handedly, I think he showed he's a superstar, man. The way he took out the Thunder that time, basically single-handed was dropping bombs on them. He has gotten Portland to the conference finals. What bothers me about Dame is they've had their opportunities and they always fall a little bit short. That year, I remember that year when they got to the conference finals, they actually got the Warriors with KD being injured, and it was really McCollum and Dame. They got this good team against Steph and Clay, and they got swept. And he was swept a couple times by Steph and Clay. And that should be fairly even when you look at it, but it shows Steph took it to another level.
Yeah.
Dame,
But then
Dame is like that
Draymond,
last.
they have no one like Draymond on Portland, man. Yeah.
Dame had a good team that year. I think they had
They did. They'd
Harkless,
have a good team. Nah,
Larry
but
Nance.
it's Ennis Cantor versus
I
Draymond. I mean,
got
that's
Dame right
really
there as like right the threshold with superstar. Probably, my
sure.
my question is like, is Jimmy Butler a superstar? I would say yes because of his playoff things. But in the regular season, sometimes he's all right. But I think Jimmy, Dame Lillard, you can put those guys there. They're right around that tier with maybe a Devin Booker. But you got the big superstars, which is
Right.
LeBron, KD,
The mega
Giannis,
stars.
Jokic, Steph. You put Kawhi when he's healthy. Maybe 6 guys. Maybe those are the guys right there that we just named. I think James Harden's took a step back, no doubt about it. No.
So when bringing it back to the Pelicans, is Zion a superstar?
He's a superstar talent. He is box office, but to this point, uh, the jury is out this year. Everyone knows what he could do. Everyone knows he is on the verge of becoming a superstar. But as of yet, Zion has not proven to take a team to the playoffs, being the best player on that team and going far into it. I do believe, and I'm optimistic. I firmly believe he will do that this year. But as of right now, it's he's a popular player, but it's like Trey Young's very popular, but I don't know if I would fully say superstar yet. I think Zion's right on the verge of becoming that, but I don't put Zion yet with the Jokic, with Giannis, with these guys who've accomplished things as being the sole best player of their team and made deep runs. I think that's what you have to do to be considered a superstar. You can be a star without being a superstar. We can't just give everybody being a
Sure.
superstar.
I
Zion
think
will
I
become
think
that.
that's fair. I
Yeah,
think that's fair. It's he's got the allure, he's got the shoe deal,
yeah.
he's got the endorsements. He
He has
just
everything.
needs he just needs to get on the court.
And we have every indication that he will do it. Like
Yeah.
Zion's going to be a big time superstar. There's some question marks, how he's going to shoot the ball. But I think we had in the sample size we got, his physicality, his speed with that size, it's just a problem in its own. He's going to be able to get to where he wants to go on the floor. If these guys are knocking down open shots, they're gonna be really, 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 really hard to guard, man. They got everything. Pelicans really do have everything. They're in a great position to make a good run. But
Love to hear
superstar,
that, man.
we'll see.
Well, I appreciate you giving us time. I'm gonna do a quick shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring this and Royal Honda. So shout out y'all. But thank you, Alan, man. It was
Appreciate
great
you
chopping
having
it
me,
up with
man.
you. Definitely got to
Definitely
do this
likewise,
again
man.
sometime.
No doubt, no doubt. Looking forward to it, man. Appreciate it too, man. Definitely.
Absolutely.